Hello and welcome, and thank you very much for pressing that play button. That's much appreciated. Yes, after this short introduction, I'm going to take you in the studio and I'm going to show you how to make your own canvas panels. If that's something you're interested in, please stay with me. And after this short introduction, let's get down and stick some canvas onto this mission. Yes.
Hey, welcome, thanks for stopping by. It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So
yes, thank you very much for joining me in the studio. I had some questions. We've got a new Facebook group now. All the links are below. You can come in, join us, just ask what questions and answer questions. Entirely up to you. It's open to oils, watercolors, acrylics, whatever you want. If you've got a question specifically you want to ask, please ask. Now, I did have one posted the other day, and they said that can you make your own canvas panels? Now, as you know, in the past I have done a video on how to make a canvas panel, but I thought I would reapproach that again because I've got a couple of products that I want to show you. Also, there's a couple of other things that I found that you can actually stick to this board, and it works really well and it's really interesting. So without further ado, let's get on to the table of explanation and let's show you how we can approach this subject. Now, what you're going to need is, I would recommend you get a steel rule. If you're going to cut masonette or hardboard or MDF, as long as it's not too thick. As you can see, this is quite thin. Okay, now I think that I'm not too sure of the thickness of that. I think it's about, let's have a look. You want something about 3 to 4 millimeters, or 4 to 6 millimeters, I would say 4 to 6 millimeters. That's quite sturdy, look. Okay, so you can quite easily then cut these with a steel rule and a nice sharp craft knife. Let me just move my tea because I don't want that to spill everywhere. And I'm just recovering from a cold. It's not been nice. And so if I sound a bit bunged up, that's why. Okay, so I got a nice sharp craft knife, and be very careful with this because you can slip and you can cut your fingers. I've done that many times. Why I use a steel rule is because it doesn't actually cut in. If this was a plastic one, it would cut in and cause problems. So I use a steel rule, and I very, very lightly, first of all, score down. Once you've done the first scoring, then you can continue several cuts as such, and just keep going like that. You can use a bigger craft knife. I just happen to have a small one, but if you've got a Stanley knife or something like that, or a carpet fitter's knife, anything like that would work well. And just put that one side, and what you can do then, you can just bend that slightly, put it towards you, and then get the knife, just follow down like that, and there we have our little canvas panel. Now you can cut these into any size, any shape. You can do hexagonal ones, you can do round ones if you're confident enough with a knife, or you can get somebody to cut them out with a jigsaw or something like that. So you can have round ones, you can have square ones, you can have octagonal ones, you can have any shape you want. You can have ones with a little arch on the top. So this is going to open up a whole new world for you in how you're going to paint on canvas. Now, not just canvas neither, no. Okay, so without further ado, let's have a look at some of the things that I've actually stuck on. Now, you can see I've got 3 different types of canvas there. But the canvas is exactly the same, but I got 3 different types of sealer. I've got a grey sealer, which I quite like if I know I'm gonna do particular paintings with black canvases. I'll tend to use my black sealer or my grey sealer, but that can be used for all different types. But yeah, I do use that. This is just ordinary sealer, but it's got a white ground in it. It's got a white paint, so it's already pre-gessoed, in other words, pre-sealed. But I do recommend, as you know, to put gesso on top of these in any case. And this is just plain clear. This will dry clear sealer. So you've got a clear, you've got a white, and you've got a grey. The grey is not as popular because it's normally the white or the clear. So I tend to sell more of the white or the clear. And you can see it's quite, once it's stuck, it's very, very hard to get off. So you can see that's well and truly stuck onto that MDF. It's actually pulling the fibres of the MDF off. So it's quite a strong sealer, really. And you can stick cardboard as well, again, to this. So you can paint on cardboard if you want to get that that effect. Some people like that effect. I've seen paintings done on cardboard, yes. And that's another quick tip I want to show you in just 1 second. But before we go on to that, I just want to show you how to actually get this canvas onto the masonette. So what you need to do, you need to go and purchase some canvas. This is a cheap canvas. It's quite thin. The difference between a cheap canvas and a direct canvas is it doesn't ripple so much. I developed the actual resin to try to stop the rippling effect, but it does tend to curl up a little bit on the edges. But we can recover that, and you will see the finished product in 1 minute, exactly how that happens. But this was just picked up in a craft store. It was only a few £. I do actually have some of this on the website if you want to go pop along to there and have a look at that. But for all this sake, all you need to do is just cut the canvas just slightly bigger than the board you want to stick it to. So leave a little overlap, and it's as simple as that. First stage. Now, you can buy different grades of canvas. You can buy thicker canvas and heavier grades of canvas, and even finer grades of canvas. And there you are. It's got two sides. One side is already pre-coated with like a paint. The other side is just ordinary canvas. So always make sure you can see the difference. One is slightly brighter than the other. So you need to stick this one down, which is the paint side up when we do it. So let's have a look at our sealers. These are the most popular sealers that I've actually got. This particular one is the white sealer. So that when that dries, it has actually got a white pigment to it. So it's a sealer basically that dries with a white paint. Yes, so it's a white sealer. Okay. The other most popular one I've got is this one, which is a clear sealer. There you go. And they come in jars like this. So they are very thin. These are very, very thick. You'll see the difference in 1 minute, because I'll do half of one and half of the other. And then you will actually see the difference between the viscosities or the thickness of these actual glues that I've developed. Can you use PVA glue? Well, it's unfair for me to say you can't, because you can. But what's going to happen then, it does stand up to the test of time. I'm not saying it doesn't. So if you want to use school glue, please use school glue. If you want something with a little bit more rigidity, that means do you want something with a little bit more stability, then my sealers tend to work really well. And that's what I tend to use in the studio. So I'll leave the choice to you. There we go. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's use a clear sealer on this one. All you need to do is put a liberal amount of the sealer onto, we'll just, you do it all over, but I'm just going to do half because I want to use the other jar as well. And then I get a credit card or some sort of card. Now these, you don't have to use a credit card. Go to the store, and you know the gift cards they have hanging up, and you can buy them and put money on them, give them as gifts. Pick up a couple of those and keep them. And if you've got any old gift cards from Christmas, then use those. They are good spreaders. Yes, and you can cut little notches in these if you want. If you're doing any journaling or anything like that, and you want a little bit of a ridge, a type of effect to stick two things together, then use these. Get these from the stores or keep them. Don't throw them away. They're always handy little spreaders. Yes, and you just spread that over. Make sure you use a mat. Don't get this everywhere because it will get a bit sticky. Try to put a lot towards the edges, because the edges are going to give you a little bit of a problem. Sometimes the edges will lift, but that's not an issue, because we can always go around there with a paintbrush at a later stage. So as you can see, this is quite thin. I tend to use this thinner one for lighter grades of canvas, where I tend to use a thicker one, obviously, for a heavy duty canvases, because they need a little bit more of a stick. The thicker one just makes it's a bit thicker. That's all it is. It's exactly the same stuff. It's just very thick. There you go. And there we go. And this is let's make sure I got the right one. Yes, this is the same one, but I don't know if you can see on camera. It's really, really thick. Can you see? Really, really thick. Now, what we need to do, I'm going to get a palette knife just to spread some of this on, and you will see the difference, how thick that is. It's really gloopy, but it's really, really heavy duty. It's exactly the same stuff, it's just very, very thick. I just put that there. And again, you need to spread this over the entire surface of your MDF, masonette, or whatever wood you want to put this on. You can put this on plywood, it doesn't matter. Whatever you decide you want to put this on, you can put this on. You can see it's a little bit thicker, and it's going to have a little bit more grip to it, and that's all the difference is between those two. And the thick one comes in white as well, and it comes in clear. Now once we've done that, we then put the lid back on our glue because we don't want to knock it on the floor. We then get our canvas and we lay that directly over, making sure we got a bit of a gap all the way around there, and we flatten that down with our hands. This is going to be a little bit funny because I've got two different types of glue, and then I'm going to just clean off my card, and I'm going to rub that down nice and smooth all the way over. And that's going to be sufficient enough to stick that down. Now if your edges do lift, which they shouldn't, but sometimes they will, because it all depends on environmental conditions as well. If they do lift, just get a paintbrush, a little bit of glue, and then you can stick them back down. And I'll use a bit of the white sealer. Now this is a thin white sealer. What I normally do is I'll just do that over the entire surface of that canvas, and what that is going to do is not only is it going to seal in the actual tooth, it's going to put a coat of paint on, but because it's sealer, it's actually going to penetrate through, and then that's going to give us a nice adhesion then straight through, and this is going to be a nightmare to actually remove from the board. So once it's on, it's there for good. And as I said, you can make these in any shape you want, scraping off the excess. And I do recommend, before you start to paint on these, you give it a coat of gesso. And I'll be using this in a lesson shortly in the next week or two. Now you need to put that aside at least for 24 to 48 hours, just to be on the safe side. I make several of these at a time. So they're pretty good. They save you loads of money in the long term, especially if you're doing commission work and that type of thing, and you want a really nice, that might be a piece of oak veneer or oak plywood. You want a nice back panel, and you want to put down some nice grade canvas, and you want to present that, you know, painting on oak and that type of thing, or even any oak finish, really, any wood. It's a really nice thing to actually give. I do my pet portraits sometimes are presented in that way. So you need to put that one side, let that dry for about 24 to 48 hours, I would say. Let me just put that safe. So let's have a look at one I done earlier. There we go. Now when that's dry, as you can see, it's nice and dry, and that's done on some MDF. What you need to do then is get a nice sharp knife and starting in the corner. Let's get it started. There you go. Starting in the corner, all the way around. Follow that knife down the edge and then just trim that off. And as I said, if you've got any loose bits of edges coming up, just chuck a little bit of glue underneath there, and that is your panel, all nice and ready for painting. And that can be mounted in a frame, and it's quite nice. Even if you want to ship these off to wherever, you can sell them online. It's much better to actually sell a painting that is on board rather than on canvas, because obviously for shipping purposes, all you need to do is put some cardboard on top of there with some parchment paper or something to stop it sticking, and then you can package that up and it's safe enough to actually post on. Okay, so that's canvas. Now, what about using one of these? Now, don't tell Jane, that's my wife. Don't tell Jane, but I've been into the laundry cupboard and I've pinched a pillowcase. And I thought to myself, I wanted a nice, very fine textile surface to actually paint on, and I thought there's nothing nicer than cotton, and this is Egyptian cotton. This is one of the best pillowcases, so I hope she doesn't find out. But I'll have to replace it soon. And I thought, let's put that onto a piece of MDF, and that's exactly what I did. Now again, you can use this in exactly the same way as we did with that one, but what a wonderful thing you've got then. Look, you've got this wonderful panel, and you've got that cotton. You can use denim. You can use anything like that. You can go into a charity shop, pick up some old bedding, pick up some old shirts, pick up some a denim jacket or something like that. If you wanted to paint on denim, you could make your own panels. And why not? Why not? And it's exactly the same thing, stuck down exactly the same way, and then we can trim that in exactly the same way as we did the other one. And what you've got there, you've got a really fine textured surface, and you can paint on there. And I tell you what, that is a wonderful, wonderful way to actually present a nice painting. So you're actually painting on Egyptian cotton or denim or whatever else you can stick on here. Now, can we stick other things on here? Now, well, I've been playing around with ideas in the studio about painting watercolor paints. Well, I want to thin down my acrylics like watercolors, and I've been playing around with different methods of getting that effect onto canvas. And I thought, well, this is one way. I'm looking into actually painting on cotton, and because that absorbs the paint and things like that. So that's something you want to try as well. So if you do try that before I actually put the video out, let me know. But I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if we stuck some watercolor paper actually onto some board? And why not? We can buy this in different sizes. It's not cheap, but what a wonderful way to actually strengthen up the paper. And it doesn't shrink, because once it's stuck solid to the masonette or plywood or whatever you've stuck it to, then it's not going to shrink and it's not going to ripple. So I thought, there we go. So I've stuck some paper down, some watercolor paper down onto some masonette. So I'm going to be doing a lesson shortly actually on that. Let's see how that works. Let's put that one aside, and that's another project. It is, yes. Now, I've also been asked a question in the surgery. Somebody said, I haven't got a lot of money, I can't afford a lot of paints, blah blah blah. So go to the dollar stores or the pound shops and buy some cheaper paints. And yes, they're a bit thin and they're a bit wishy-washy, but you can turn out some wonderful paintings with those. And so just get some texture gels or something like that. Thicken up the paints a little bit, okay? Thicken up the paints a little bit, and get some wonderful paintings on the go. Get yourself a little craft stall or something like that, or try and sell them on Etsy or something like that, and use that money then to reinvest into buying some decent equipment, some better brushes, some better paints. And that's exactly how we all started. But as a beginner, why not just get some plain old cardboard? There you go, and gesso that a few times, and then you can paint on cardboard, just ordinary cardboard. Great for practice, yes. And you can keep these or you can chuck them in the bin. It doesn't really matter. Now let's take that one step further. And if you get a really good heavy cardboard box, this is not ideal. This is not an ideal cardboard. But if you get a cardboard that's a little bit thicker or a bit heavier, there we are. Then why not stick some linen or some canvas to that? There we are, because all these canvas boards are a compressed cardboard with canvas on them. So you're not doing anything different. The only thing is that this will be a little bit more absorbent. This will take a little bit more of the water that's in the paint through. So it might get a little bit floppy, but still ideal for practice. And it's ideal actually for little miniature, there we go, look. Little miniature paintings, if you want to do little miniature abstracts or something like that, and you could put that in a little frame, and it's something different. That's all I want to try and show you here today, something different. So practice, play around, buy some glue. If you want to pop along to www.clives5art.co.uk and pick up a few sealers, or you can use some school glue, whatever you want to use, it's fine by me. And just pop along and try and experiment. And that's all we do as artists. We experiment with different products and different mediums, and you'll be surprised what you can actually turn out at the end of the day. So there you go. We've got we got a grey sealer, but we've got the clear sealer, which is that one there, and we've got the white sealer, which is basically just white pigmented glue with that. And we've got them in thin and we've got them in thick, as you can see. Again, very, very thick, very, very thick paint. So all it means me to say thank you very much for joining me in the first episode of the surgery. Yes, and these will continue. And please check out the links of the group below. Go along there, post your questions, answer some questions. You'll be surprised what you'll learn. There's also another Facebook group, Clive's Art Family, where you can post your work and get critiques. So fantastic resources that we got for you now in 2016. So all that remains me to say is thank you very much for joining me in the studio today. My name is Clive from clivesart.co.uk. God go with you. Have a good day, good week, a good month, a good year, because I don't know exactly when you're going to be watching this, as time is relative on YouTube. Nice.
Hey, welcome, thanks for stopping by. It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So grab your brush, have a great time. And don't forget to click subscribe. Visit clive5art.co.uk.